The tale of Wade Wilson unfurls like a storm cloud creeping over the Florida horizon, a darkness so profound it stains the sunlit veneer of the Gulf Coast with an indelible mark of terror. Wade Stephen Wilson was born on May 20, 1994, in Tallahassee, Florida, to teenage parents whose names remain shadows in the record, their youth too fragile to bear the weight of raising a child. Surrendered to adoption, he was taken in by Steve and Candace Wilson, a couple who offered him a home in the state's capital, a city of sprawling oaks and quiet streets that masked the turbulence brewing within their adopted son. From the outside, Wade's childhood might have appeared unremarkable, a boy navigating the halls of Deer Lake Middle School and Lawton Childs High School, but beneath this facade, a troubling unrest took root. Classmates recall him as a figure cloaked in unease, a boy who carried a heaviness that set him apart, his presence a whisper of something unsettled, something wrong. By adolescence, Wade's life began to fracture, his path veering into a labyrinth of crime that would foreshadow the horrors to come. In 2012, at 18, he faced his first arrest in Leon County, charged with burglary and grand theft, crimes that landed him in the Florida Department of Corrections from November 26, 2013, to September 19, 2014. Released at 20, he emerged not reformed but emboldened, his brushes with the law growing more frequent, more violent. In 2015, a woman accused him of sexual battery and kidnapping after a party in Tallahassee, alleging he assaulted her in his vehicle, her screams swallowed by the night. A jury acquitted him, the courtroom echoing with the hollow clang of justice unserved, leaving behind a chilling question: what might have been prevented had the gavel fallen differently? 2 years later, in 2017, he returned to prison for stealing firearms, incarcerated from October 17, 2017, to July 15, 2018, his time behind bars hardening the edges of a man already teetering on the brink. The year 2019 marked the descent, a prelude to the nightmare that would sear Wade Wilson's name into infamy. In February, an ex-girlfriend in Palm Beach County reported a harrowing assault, claiming he beat and strangled her, his hands a vice around her throat. No charges were filed, the system once again turning a blind eye, a failure that would ripple outward with devastating consequence. By October, Wade had drifted to southwest Florida, a region of palm-fringed shores and unsuspecting lives, where his shadow would fall across two women who had no inkling of the fate awaiting them. On the night of October 6, 2019, he entered Buddha Live, a Fort Myers bar thrumming with music and revelry. There, he met Kristine Melton, a 35-year-old waitress whose warmth lit up the lives around her. Kristine had moved from Illinois to Cape Coral with a friend, a woman who loved cats, cherished Halloween, and served as godmother to her cousin's child, her duplex a haven of quiet joys. She was out with her friend Stephanie Sailors that night, the trio, Kristine, Stephanie, and Wade, later moving to the home of Jason Shepard, where hours passed in a haze of camaraderie. As dawn broke on October 7th, the group returned to Kristine's duplex, a decision that would unravel into tragedy. Stephanie left in the early hours, leaving Kristine alone with Wade, a man whose calm exterior masked a predator's intent. As Kristine slept, trusting in the safety of her own bed, Wade struck. His hands closed around her throat, squeezing with deliberate force, strangling her until her breath ceased, her body crumpling into silence. The coroner would later confirm asphyxia by neck compression, a clinical term for an act of unspeakable cruelty. With Kristine's life extinguished, Wade stole her black car, slipping away into the morning light, his mind already turning to the next target in a spree that defied comprehension. That same morning, as the sun climbed higher, Wade drove through Cape Coral, his eyes locking onto Diane Ruiz, a 43-year-old bartender and mother of two, walking along a quiet street on her way to work. Diane was a force of life, her laughter a fixture at the bar where she poured drinks, her dedication a lifeline for her sons. Wade pulled over, his voice smooth as he asked for directions to a nearby school, a ruse that drew Diane into the stolen car. She stepped inside, unaware that she'd entered a trap. When she tried to leave, sensing something amiss, Wade attacked with feral intensity. He beat her, his fists raining down, then strangled her, his grip unrelenting until her struggles ceased. But he wasn't finished. Pushing her lifeless body onto the pavement, he climbed back into the car and drove over her, not once, but 10 to 20 times, later boasting he wanted to make her look like spaghetti. Her mutilated remains were discovered 3 days later, on October 10th, in a field behind a Sam's Club, vultures circling overhead, a grotesque tableau of his savagery. Wade's rampage didn't end with Diane. He drove to Fort Myers, where he confronted his then-girlfriend, Melissa Montanez, attempting to force her into the car. She fought back, escaping his grasp, her resistance a rare spark of defiance against his violence. It was his own voice, however, that would seal his fate. That day, he called his biological father, Stephen Testaseca, a man he'd reconnected with at 18 but rarely saw. Over 3 calls, Wade confessed with a chilling glee, recounting how he choked Kristine in her sleep and turned Diane into a ruin of flesh and bone. Stephen, initially skeptical, listened as Wade's excitement grew, his words dripping with a perverse pride. By the 3rd call at 10 p.m., Stephen's wife joined on speaker, and they contacted the police, coaxing Wade's location, a vacant home he'd broken into, under the pretense of sending an Uber. On October 8, 2019, officers arrested him there, initially for burglary and battery, the full horror of his murders emerging only as the bodies were linked to his trail. The investigation revealed a man unmurdered, his apartment a sparse testament to a life consumed by chaos. His prior record painted a portrait of escalating danger, burglary, theft, assault, each offense a stepping stone to the abyss. In jail, his defiance persisted. In 2020, he and cellmate Joseph Katz tampered with their cell window, cracking the security glass in an escape attempt. Wade identified as the mastermind who'd arranged a getaway car. Court records tied him to the Unforgiven, a white supremacist prison gang, his swastika tattoos, a stark one beneath his right eye, etched during incarceration, branding him with hate as indelible as his crimes. The trial began in June 2024 at the Lee County Courthouse in Fort Myers, a proceeding that peeled back the layers of Wade's brutality. Prosecutors Andreas Gardiner and Sarah Miller, from the state attorney's homicide unit, laid out a case of cold-blooded slaughter. Kristine's cousin, Samantha Katomer, wept as she described a woman who radiated safety and wit, while Diane's loved ones spoke of a mother whose absence left a void. Stephen Testaseca testified, his voice steady as he repeated Wade's confession, "I'm a killer, there are 2 people gone who aren't coming back." Wade, now 30, sat silent, his face a mask of tattoos, swastikas, stitches around his mouth, acquired in jail, a stark evolution from the clean-shaven man arrested in 2019. His defense argued impulsivity, citing brain scans from neurologist Dr. Mark Rubino showing possible trauma, but the state countered with experts attributing his actions to choice and drug use, not injury. On June 12, 2024, after just over 2 hours, the jury convicted him on all counts: 2 first-degree murders, grand theft, battery, burglary, and petty theft. The penalty phase followed, jurors weighing life without parole against death under Florida's new law, signed by Governor Ron DeSantis in April 2023, requiring only 8 of 12 votes for a death recommendation. On June 25, they voted 9-3 for Kristine's murder and 10-2 for Diane's, deeming both killings heinous, atrocious, and cruel, Diane's also cold, calculated, and premeditated. Juror 87 later told Wink News the images were unforgettable, the decision a heavy but just burden. Sentencing arrived on August 27, 2024, before Judge Nicholas Thompson. A morning Spencer hearing allowed final arguments, the defense presenting brain scans and testimony of impulsivity, countered by the state's insistence on accountability. Steve and Candace Wilson's letter, read by attorney Kevin Shirley, pleaded for mercy, calling Wade a joyful child undone by addiction, but Thompson remained resolute. At 2 p.m., he imposed 2 death sentences, 1 for each murder, declaring the aggravating factors, cruelty, premeditation, overwhelming. The courtroom erupted in claps and hugs from the victims' families, some vowing to witness his execution, their relief a fragile balm against 5 years of grief. Wade was transferred to Union Correctional Institution in Rayford on August 30, 2024, joining 274 men on death row. His latest mugshot, released in September, showed a shaved head and the same tattooed visage, the swastika under his eye a mark of his gang ties. Life in a 6-by-9-foot cell began, marred by 10 disciplinary reports by January 2025, drug use, disobedience, misuse of state property, his defiance unbroken. His appeal, filed automatically in September 2024 with attorney Michael Ufferman, challenges the sentence, a process that could stretch years. As of March 24, 2025, Wade Wilson remains a specter on death row, his name, ironically shared with Marvel's Deadpool, a grim irony against the lives he stole. Kristine Melton and Diane Ruiz linger as echoes of his terror, their families bound by loss, their killer a man whose humanity, if it ever existed, lies buried beneath the weight of his own monstrous acts.